Hey, it's Evan here, and today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to set up your own Active Directory Home Lab. To do that, I'll be using Oracle VirtualBox, Windows Server 2022, and Windows 10. I'll also be using a PowerShell script to automatically add users into Active Directory. Any links to downloads will be included in the description below. If you find this content helpful, please like and subscribe. And without further ado, I'm going to hop right in and show you how to get set up. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to that VirtualBox link and download whatever version works for your operating system. And then once you've done that, scroll down a little bit and grab this extension pack right here. Once you have both those files downloaded, go ahead and install them. And then you want to go to the Windows 10 link, scroll down and download this media installation tool right here. And go ahead and run that tool to download the Windows 10 ISO file. And if you're confused about how to use the tool, you can click this little plus sign right here and it'll expand some directions that you can follow to download the ISO file. Once you have the Windows 10 ISO file downloaded, go to the Windows Server 2022 link and you'll have to fill out this information here for the 180-day free trial and then click this download link. So once you have the Windows 10 ISO file and the Windows Server 2022 ISO file downloaded, and you have VirtualBox and the extension pack installed, you can go ahead and open up VirtualBox. You want to click New to create a new virtual machine. For this first virtual machine, we're going to name it DC for domain controller. And next to the version, select Other Windows 64-bit. And then you can click Next. And here you can set your RAM and processor settings. I like to try and set at least 2 gigabytes or 2048 megabytes for the RAM, and also 2 for the number of processors. If you have a better computer, you can maybe go a little bit higher. If it's not the best, you can go, leave it at the default settings and it'll be a little bit slower, but it should still work. Once you do that, you can click next to the next few screens and finish on this last one. And now we have our DC virtual machine. So before we start it, we want to go to settings and go to the advanced tab. Next to shared clipboard, we want to set it to bidirectional and do the same for the drag and drop. And basically what this does is allow us to copy and paste and drag and drop files between our host computer and the virtual machine. And this will come in handy later. Just makes things a little bit easier when working with our virtual machine. Next, we want to go to the network tab. And so we need 2 network adapters. We already have the first one here enabled and it's set to NAT. And this will connect to our home internet. But we need to set up a second network adapter. So we'll go to the adapter 2 tab and click the checkbox to enable that, and next to attach to, we'll set it to our internal network, and this will connect to our internal VirtualBox network. So now you can click OK to save your settings, and we're ready to start our DC virtual machine. So just double click the DC machine and it'll start up. It might take a little second to load. So once it loads here, you'll see this little box that says failed to boot. And this is because we haven't actually installed an operating system on it yet. So you want to go ahead and navigate to the folder where you downloaded your Server 2022 ISO and select that. and click open and click mount and retry boot. And it'll load up into this little setup tool, and you can click next and then install now. And then on this screen, we want to select one of the desktop experience versions. If you select one that's not a desktop experience, then you won't have a GUI. So just be sure that you select a desktop experience and click next. And accept the terms and click next. Select custom install, since this is the first time that we're installing this on this machine, and click next through this screen, and Windows Server 2022 will begin to install on your virtual machine. This part is probably going to take a little while, so I'm actually going to probably skip ahead. During the installation, you will notice the VM restart a few times. And at one point, you'll notice a little black screen that says press any key to boot. Just don't press anything until your machine has actually booted into Windows, or it'll restart the whole setup process. So here's that black screen I was talking about. Just don't press anything and let it continue to boot into Windows. So once Server 2022 has finished installing, you'll need to set a password for the administrator account. Since we're just using this for a lab, you can make it something simple like password 1, just to keep it easy to remember. And click finish. It should take you to this lock screen here, but you can't actually press this keystroke right here to unlock it. You have to go to input, select keyboard, and then insert Control Alt Delete, or you can hit this little keystroke it has next to it. Now log in with your password you set, just password 1 in my case. Once our desktop loads here, we're going to want to go ahead and install VirtualBox guest editions, and that'll allow us to resize our virtual machine and have the desktop fit the screen, and it'll make the mouse move a little bit smoother when transitioning between our virtual machine and our host computer. So to do that, go to devices and select insert guest editions CD image. Then we want to go to File Explorer. I need to scroll down a little bit. You can click yes to make your device discoverable on the network, and click File Explorer. Select this PC and click VirtualBox Guest Editions. And you want to run the AMD 64 file. Click Next. Next again, and install. And once Guest Editions has finished installing, select I want to manually reboot later and click Finish. Then click Start. Click the power icon and click Shutdown. And on this little box, hit Continue, and your VM will shut down. So the next thing we need to do is set up IP addressing and rename the PC. So we need to go ahead and double click the DC machine to start it back up again. Once your VM is loaded back up, go ahead and unlock it. Again, you can do that by going to Input, Keyboard, and insert Control-Alt-Delete. And then log in with your administrator password, which is password 1. So let me see if I can reposition this and resize the screen real quick. Guest Edition should make it where this little scroll bar is gone, and I should be able to resize and have the whole screen fit on here. But I think the desktop is still loading, so it might be affecting it. So let me give it a little bit more time here. And Server Manager will automatically load up every time you start your Windows Server VM. Here we go. So as you can see now, my whole desktop is fitting on the screen without having that scroll bar. So that's what VirtualBox Guest Editions allows you to do. So now that we have this loaded, we need to click the network icon and select the network. And go to change adapter options. And once that loads, you'll see your two network adapters you have here. So we need to right click the first one and select status, then click details. And if you see next to IPv4 something like 10.0.2.15, it probably connects to your home network. So we can close that. And we'll go and right click that adapter and select rename. And we'll name it internet. Now right click the second network adapter, select status, details, and again check that IPv4. If you see something like this, it connects to the internal network. So we'll close that and right click and rename this second network adapter internal. Next, we can set up IP addressing on the internal network adapter. Now, I'm not an expert on IP addressing, so I won't go into detail about why we're using specific IP addresses. But to set that up, you can right click the internal network adapter and select properties. Find IPv4 and double click that. Select use the following IP addresses. And for the IP address, we can use 172.16.0.1. For the subnet mask, we can use 255.255.255.0. For the default gateway, we can leave that blank. Our domain controller will act as the default gateway. And for the preferred DNS server, we can use 127.0.0.1. And that's just a loopback address that refers back to the IP address we're using for this computer. So you can really use either or, but I'll just use the loopback address. And once you have those settings, just click OK. And OK again. And now we can move on to renaming the PC. So to do that, click Start or right click Start and go to System. And click rename this PC. And we're just going to name it DC for domain controller. And it'll replace this weird name up here and click next. And click restart now. And continue. And now your VM will restart. And once it has restarted, we'll go ahead and install Active Directory domain services and create our domain. Okay, once your domain controller virtual machine restarts, go ahead and unlock it. Log into your administrator account using password 1. Wait for the server manager dashboard to load. Now to install Active Directory domain services, go to Add Roles and Features. Let me move this or resize it so I can see the bottom. Actually, let me resize it here. There we go. Click Next. Click Next again. Here you'll see your server. Just make sure that's selected and click Next. Here select Active Directory Domain Services. Click Add Features. Click Next. I don't think we need to do anything here, so click Next again, and install. Once that's done installing, we can go ahead and click Close. You'll see this flag sign with the yellow indicator. Click that and click Promote this server to a domain controller. This configuration wizard will open. Click Add a new forest. And next to root domain name, you can add your domain. I'm going to use mydomain.com and click Next. Here we need to set a password, and we're not really going to use this password, but we can just use password 1 again. And click Next. And just wait for this to load. And in this little box, you'll see my domain. Click Next. Click Next again. Next one more time. And install. Once it's done, you'll see this pop up saying you're about to be signed out. Click Close, and your VM will restart. And once it's restarted, we're going to create a dedicated domain admin account inside Active Directory. So let's go ahead and log back in. And now you'll see my domain at the beginning of your administrator account. So let's log in with password 1. click the Start menu. Select Windows Administrative Tools. And then select Active Directory Users and Computers. Once that loads up, you'll see your domain right here. Go ahead and right click on your domain and go down to New and select Organizational Unit. And we're going to name it Admins. I'm going to uncheck this box to make it easy to delete later and click OK. And then to add a user, I'm going to right click the admins folder we just created and go to New and click User. And here you just fill in your name information. And in this box right here, you can add a username for your admin account. And I'm just gonna do my first initial and last name. And click Next. Here you just create a password for your admin account. And again, you can just use password 1. And uncheck this box on user must change password on next login and check the box for password never expires and click next and finish. Now you should see the user we just created, but we still need to make it an admin. So just right click on it and select Properties and go to the Member Of tab and click Add. And in this box, just type in Domain Admins. Click Check Names and then click OK. And click Apply and OK. And now you've made your user account an admin on the domain. So now we just need to sign out. So click the start icon, click the profile icon up here, and click sign out. And we're going to log back in using the domain admin account we just created. So click Other User right here and type in your admin username. So for me, it's A-eman. And type in the password, which is password 1. And hit enter. And once we're logged back in, we're going to install RAS and NAT. Just wait for the Server Manager dashboard to load back up again. So click Add Roles and Features. Click Next. Next again. Your server is already selected, so click Next. And go down to Remote Access and check that box. Hit Next. And right here, let me see. We don't need to do anything else here, so we can just click Next. Next again, select Routing, click Add Features, click Next. Next again, one more time, and install. Once the installation is complete, hit Close. Click on Tools from this top menu and go to Routing and Remote Access. And now you'll see the DC server right here. And you'll want to right click it and select Configure and Enable Routing and Remote Access. Click Next. Select NAT. Click Next. And for some reason, this doesn't work when I do it the first time. So I'm actually going to close it out and open it back up. So just give me a second. And so I'll right click the server and configure and click Next, select NAT, Next, and here we go. Now you'll see your adapters listed here and select the one you named Internet and click Next and finish. And that'll finish setting up. And now you'll see a little green arrow pointing up next to DC local, indicating that routing and remote access is now configured. So the next thing we need to do is set up a DHCP server. So I'll go ahead and close this out and click Add Roles and Features. Click Next, Next, Next again, and select DHCP server right here. Add features, next. Next, next, and install. Once it's done, hit close. Go back to Tools and DHCP. You'll see your domain. Let me make this a little bigger. So click on my domain. You'll see IPv4. You want to right click on that and let me expand this. Right click IPv4 and go to new scope. Click next. Here we'll name the scope. You can name it after the IP range. So 172.16.0.100 to 200 and click next. For the start IP address, we'll do 172.16.0.100. For the end IP address, we'll do 172.16.0.200. The length will set to 24, and the subnet mask will automatically update. Then click next. Here we could add any IP addresses we want to exclude, but we don't need to, so click next. On this page, we can set the lease duration, which is the amount of time a computer can take up an assigned IP address, but we can just leave this at 8 days and click next. Make sure yes, I want to configure these options now is selected and click next. On this page, we need to set the IP address for our router, which is just the IP address of the domain controller. So we can enter 172.16.0.1 and make sure you click add to add the IP address and click next. Next again. Yes, I want to activate the scope now, so next and finish. Now go back to your server and right click it and select authorize. Then go back and right click the server again and select refresh. Now you'll see a green check mark next to IPv4 indicating it's up and running, and expand this to see the scope. And so now we have our domain controller set up. We have Active Directory installed. We have RAS and NAT set up. And we have our DHCP server set up. So the next thing we need to do is actually add users to Active Directory. And we're going to do that by using a PowerShell script. So first we need to go back to our server manager dashboard and click configure this local server. And next to IE enhanced security configuration, click on. And under administrators and users, set it to off. Click OK. And then open up Microsoft Edge. Click Get Started. Click Continue. Continue without signing in. Then grab the link for the PowerShell script and paste that into Microsoft Edge. And then the script should start downloading. And once it's done, you can go ahead and open up File Explorer. Then go to the Downloads folder and drag the file to the desktop. And right click on the zip file and click Extract All. And extract it to the desktop. And then click on the folder. And you'll see the PowerShell script right here. And then this names text file. So open the names file. And this is just a randomized list of users that will be added to Active Directory. So you can add your name at the top to create a user for yourself. Then just save the file. And then close the names file. And now we need to open up PowerShell so we can run our create user script. So just go to Start. And then select Windows PowerShell. And then Windows PowerShell ISE. Actually, I forgot to run it as administrator, so let me close this. Go back to Start, PowerShell, and right-click PowerShell ISE. And go to More, and Run as Administrator. Click Yes. Now we can go to Open Scripts and go to the folder with our PowerShell script. Select the Create User script. click open. Now, if we try to run this script right off the bat, it'll give us an error message saying it's not digitally signed. So we actually need to disable that security feature, which is not normally recommended, but since this is just a lab, it's okay. So to do that, we need to type set execution policy unrestricted. Then hit enter and click yes to all. Then we can click this play button to run the script and click run once. And so it's giving me an error message. Oh, I forgot to change the directory to the folder where the script is. So let me stop this and enter cd space c : backslash users backslash a dash eman backslash desktop backslash ad underscore ps dash master. And now I can enter ls to list all the files. And I'm still not seeing the PowerShell script listed here for some reason, which is weird because it should be in this folder. Let's just see what happens when I press play again. Okay, so it's still giving me an error. So let me try to figure out what's wrong. So I think I'm just in the wrong folder. So let me go back and change directory again. I think I just needed to go one more level. Hit enter. And it's still giving me an error. So let's see. Actually, what I'm going to try to do, I'm just going to see if I can drag the PowerScript file into the folder I'm currently in. So let me minimize this and let's go back to File Explorer. And let me see. So yeah, I'm just going to try and drag the files into this folder. So let me open this in a new window and just select all these files and drag them to the other folder. And actually, let me exit this first. This one, and let's go back to PowerShell and enter ls. And now we see our files. So let's go to play. Or actually, I think I need to open the script from the new location first. So let's go to open and go to the folder where the script is. Okay, new users, open. Let me exit this old one. And now I can hit run script, run once. And finally, there we go. Now it's running the script and creating all the users in Active Directory. So I'm just gonna let that run. It might take a little bit. I think it's over 1,000 users that it's going to create. So now that the script has finished, we can go back to Active Directory and see all the users it created. So I'm going to go to Start, Windows Administrative Tools, and Active Directory Users and Computers. And now if you expand this domain, you'll see this users folder, and it has all the users. And you can actually right click the domain and select Find, then click Find Now. And if you look at the bottom of this window, you can see the number of users. You can also search for users. So if I enter my last name and hit Find Now, these are my user accounts. So now that we have everything set up with Active Directory on our Windows server, the last thing we need to do is set up our client virtual machine. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and go back to VirtualBox. Once you're back on VirtualBox, just click New to create a new virtual machine. And this machine we can name Client 1 for the client computer, and Windows 10 for the version, and click Next. Here we can leave the RAM at 2 gigabytes and set 2 for the processors. Then click Next, Next, and Finish. And now we have the client machine created. So now we need to go to Settings, go to the Advanced tab, and set the shared clipboard and drag and drop to bidirectional. Then go to the Network tab, and we only need one adapter, but it needs to connect to the internal network. Click OK. So now we have the correct settings for our client machine. So we just need to start it up, and you can double click Client 1 to start the machine. Or you can also just click Start. Now we need to install the operating system. So go to the folder where you saved the Windows 10 ISO and select that and open and mount and retry boot. Once the setup tool loads, click Next and Install Now. Click I don't have a product key and select the Windows 10 Pro Edition. And click Next. agree to the license terms, click next, custom installation, next, and Windows 10 will begin to install. During installation, your machine will probably restart several times like it did when we installed Server 2022. So just let it do its thing and don't press any buttons until your machine has booted into Windows. Once the installation has completed and your machine has restarted, just make sure your country is selected and then click yes. Select your keyboard layout and then click yes. Click skip to skip adding a second keyboard layout. Now it's going to take a little bit of time to finish setting up, and then your machine will restart again. Once the machine has restarted, there's still a little bit more setup we have to go through. So here, just click setup for personal use, and then scroll down and click next. So here, I think it's going to make you add an account. I don't think it'll let you click next without actually adding an account. So yeah, it's going to make you add an account or create one. Actually, let me see what sign in with a security key does. Okay, let's go back. So I'm just gonna enter my email. I'm pretty sure any email will work. So just enter your email and click next. So here I'm actually gonna have it email me a code to sign in. You might be able to sign in with just your password, but it always has me email verify anyway. So I'm just gonna do this instead. So now I'm going to check my email for the code that it sent me. And then I'm just going to enter that code right here. Then click next. Now you need to create a pin, so just click create pin and then make your pin. And you won't really need it for this lab, so just make it something simple and then click OK. Once you get here, you can just leave everything set to yes, but you don't really need all of this stuff for the lab, so I would just set it to no. Then click accept. Click skip. On here, click no thanks. click decline, decline again, click next, no thanks, and not now. So now it's just going to complete the setup, and then it will take you to the desktop. So once you're on the desktop, you can click yes to make your device discoverable on the network. Then the next thing we're going to do is make sure that our internet and IP addressing is working properly. And you could actually go ahead and install guest editions on here to make the screen resizable and everything. But I'm just going to skip that part to speed things up and click start. Or actually, you can just click the search box and type CMD, then hit enter to open command prompt. Then type in the command ipconfig and hit enter. So now you see the default gateway has the IP address of the domain controller, and our client computer has been assigned the IP address of 172.16.0.100. So the internet appears to be working properly, and now we just need to rename the PC and join the domain. So to do that, just right click start and select system. Scroll down to the bottom and click rename this PC advanced. Then click change, and under computer name, replace that name with client 1, and under member of, select domain and type in mydomain.com and click OK. And when this window pops up, just enter the login information for the admin account you created in Active Directory. So for me, it's going to be a-eman and then password 1. Click OK. You'll see this pop-up that says welcome to mydomain.com, indicating you've successfully joined the domain. Click OK. You'll see another pop-up that says you must restart the computer to apply the changes. Click OK again. Then click Close on the System Properties window and click Restart Now. So now that we've restarted, we need to log back in. And since we joined the client computer to the domain, we can actually log in with any of the user accounts that were created by the PowerShell script. So you can just use the account that was created for yourself. Just make sure it's not the admin account that you created. Let's go ahead and unlock it. Then scroll down and select Other User. Type in the username for your user account, not the admin account. So for me, it's eman, and then all the passwords are password 1. Then go ahead and log in. Once you're logged in, click Start. Type in CMD. And open up Command Prompt. And now just type in the command, who am I? Hit enter, and it should return with my domain / your username. So now the last thing we need to do for this lab is go back to the domain controller and check to see if this client computer shows up. So just minimize the client computer and go back to the DC virtual machine and pull that up. Let's log back into our administrator account. So just enter in password 1. Pull up DHCP. And click the drop down next to scope. And let me drag this over to make it bigger. Then click address leases. And now you'll see the client computer we joined to the domain. And we can also check Active Directory users and computers to see if this client computer shows up there too. So let's go ahead and pull up the Active Directory users and computers window. And click computers. And here we go. We see client 1. And that brings us to the end of this tutorial. Hopefully you are able to follow through and create your own Active Directory home lab. And thank you guys for watching.